You took the test? After everything I told you? You have no idea what you just did. Actually, Mom, I think I finally do. The line went dead. Complete silence. She blocked me on everything. My own mother ghosted me for 3 months. But what that DNA test uncovered? It didn't just change my family tree, it burned the whole forest down. My name is Corinne, and I'm 34 years old. I work as an administrative coordinator at a mid-sized hospital in Ohio. It's not glamorous work. Nobody writes movies about people who manage scheduling systems and insurance paperwork, but it's steady. It's honest. And it taught me something important. How to keep records, how to stay organized, how to document everything. That skill would save my life later, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I grew up in what I thought was a close family. My mom, Diane, married my stepdad, Ray, when I was 4, and they had 2 boys together. My half-brothers. Those 2 were the prized children from day one. They got the praise, the attention, the college funds, the matching outfits in the Christmas photos. They were the ones Mom bragged about at church. They were the ones who could do no wrong. Me? I was different. I looked different. I acted different. I asked too many questions. I was told my biological father died before I was born, and the subject was sealed shut like a tomb. Every time I brought it up, my mom would get this look on her face like I'd slapped her. So I stopped asking. I buried my curiosity for 30 years. Then I turned 34. I started having some health problems. Nothing terrifying, but enough that my doctor sat me down and said I really needed to understand my full genetic history. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer risks. She wanted the full picture, and I realized I didn't have half of it. I didn't know a single thing about my father's side. Not one thing. I wasn't trying to blow up my family. I just wanted to know if I was at risk for the same thing that killed my grandmother. But apparently, that one question was the most dangerous thing I could have asked. If your family ever had a topic that was completely off limits, something they refused to explain no matter how much you needed the answer, subscribe. You're not crazy for wanting the truth. Drop your story below. I'm reading every single one. Let's go. It was Thanksgiving when everything started to crack. I drove 3 hours to Mom's house. The kitchen smelled like roasted turkey and cinnamon candles. 12 of us squeezed around the dining table, aunts and uncles and cousins all talking over each other the way big families do. For a moment, it felt warm. It felt safe. And maybe that's why I let my guard down. Somewhere between the mashed potatoes and the second round of gravy, I mentioned it casually. I said my doctor had recommended a DNA health screening. I said I was thinking about doing one just to understand my genetic risks better. I didn't say it with attitude. I didn't say it to start a fight. I said it the same way you'd say you were thinking about getting a flu shot. The table went silent. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that has weight to it. My mom's face turned white. Ray set his fork down slowly, like he was placing a weapon on the table. Every cousin, every aunt, every uncle just froze. Mom's voice came out shaking. You don't need that. I've told you everything you need to know about your health. I pushed gently. Mom, I don't even know Dad's side. I don't know if there's heart disease, cancer, anything. My doctor needs this information, she snapped. Right there in front of everyone. Her palm slammed the table so hard the dishes rattled and a glass of water tipped sideways, soaking the tablecloth. I said no. You are never to take one of those tests. Do you hear me? Never. My half-brothers exchanged a look. Tyler, the younger one, muttered without even looking at me. Just drop it, Corinne. You always make things weird. I looked around the table. 12 faces staring at me. Not one person defended me. Not one person said maybe she has a right to know. My aunt studied her plate like it was the most interesting thing she'd ever seen. My cousin picked at her napkin. They all just let it happen. I left early. I hugged no one on my way out. In the car, my hands shook on the steering wheel and tears blurred the road in front of me. The humiliation sat on my chest like a brick. But underneath the shame, something else was growing. A decision. A quiet, certain decision. I pulled out my phone in the driveway of my apartment. I ordered a DNA kit that same night. 6 weeks later, the results arrived in a plain white envelope. I opened it alone at my kitchen table with a cup of cold coffee beside me. The sound of the clock ticking in my kitchen was the only thing louder than my own heartbeat. My biological father wasn't dead. He was alive. He lived 2 states away in Indiana, and the DNA match connected me to a half-sister I'd never met. A woman named Jolene who had been searching for me. The test also revealed something that made my stomach drop. I was not genetically related to anyone on the paternal side my mother had described to me for 34 years. Not my supposed father's family. Not the relatives she claimed I resembled. None of it. Everything I'd been told was a complete fabrication. My hands were trembling when I called my mom. She picked up on the 3rd ring. I said 4 words. "I took the test." That's when she screamed. "You took the test? After everything I told you? You have no idea what you just did." I said, "Actually, Mom, I think I finally do." The line went dead. When I tried calling back, it went straight to voicemail. I checked Facebook, blocked. Instagram, blocked. Even my text messages showed as undelivered. My own mother erased me from her life in under 60 seconds. Within a week, my half-brothers called. Not to check on me, not to ask if I was okay. They called to scold me. Tyler went first. "Mom is devastated, Corinne. You broke her trust. She asked you one thing and you couldn't respect it." I tried to explain. I tried to tell them about the health concerns, about the doctor's recommendation. Tyler cut me off. "This isn't about health and you know it. You just had to dig. You just had to cause drama." Then the exclusion started. Slowly at first, then all at once. Aunts stopped responding to my texts. Cousins left my messages on read. I noticed one afternoon that I'd been removed from the family group chat. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. Like I'd never been part of it. Then came a text from my cousin Morgan that felt like a knife. "Hey Corinne, about the baby shower next month. We think it's best if you sit this one out. Things are just really tense right now. Hope you understand." I understood perfectly. I was being erased. Just like my father had been. A few days later, Ray called. He used his calm voice. The one he always used when he wanted to seem reasonable. "Corinne, sweetheart, your mother is fragile right now. She's barely eating. She cries every day. I think if you just apologized and promised to never bring this up again, we could move past it." I was quiet for a moment. Then I asked the question I needed answered. "Ray, who is my real father?" His voice changed instantly. The warmth disappeared like someone flipped a switch. "Your mother is your family. That's all that matters. You're being selfish and ungrateful for everything we gave you." "Everything you gave me? Like the truth?" "We gave you a roof. We gave you food. We gave you a life. You were lucky to have what you had." There it was. Lucky to be raised at all. Like I was a charity case. Like I should spend my whole life saying thank you for the bare minimum. I realized in that moment that this wasn't protection. This was control. And it had been control my entire life. Then I found out about the public campaign against me. Tamara, my cousin on my mom's side, called me quietly one evening. She told me that at a family gathering I hadn't been invited to, my mother had put on a full performance. She'd cried in front of everyone and told them I went behind her back, that I was obsessed with strangers on the internet, that I was trying to destroy the family for attention. Mom had actually said, through tears, I gave that girl everything, and she repaid me by trying to replace us. Family members who had known me my entire life, people who had held me as a baby, now looked at me with suspicion. Some with pity. A few unfollowed me on social media. I had become the villain in a story my mother wrote, and nobody bothered to ask for my side. I won't lie to you. I cried a lot during those weeks. There were nights I sat on my bathroom floor and wondered if I'd made the worst mistake of my life. But I didn't crumble. I started journaling. I started therapy. And slowly, with a professional helping me see clearly, I began to recognize the patterns that had always been there. The favoritism. The way I was always treated as less than. The way every question was punished. One night I whispered it to myself in the dark of my bedroom. If the truth is so dangerous to them, maybe the truth is exactly what I need. I reached out to Jolene. What my family didn't know was that I'd been quietly saving everything. Every single text message. Every voicemail. Every email. For 3 months, I documented it all. I had screenshots of being removed from the family group chat. I had the voicemail where Ray called me a burden, his exact words preserved in a digital file on my laptop. I had texts from my brothers telling me I ruined Thanksgiving, telling me I was selfish, telling me to stop embarrassing the family. But the most damning piece of evidence wasn't digital. It was paper. When I connected with Jolene, my half-sister, she told me something that made the floor shift beneath my feet. Our biological father, Dale, hadn't died. He hadn't abandoned me either. He had tried to be part of my life when I was a toddler. He'd sent letters. He'd sent child support payments every single month. He'd even filed for partial custody in family court. My mother had hidden all of it. She returned his letters. She cashed his child support checks without ever telling me they existed. And she lied in court documents, claiming Dale was absent and uninterested in his daughter. Jolene had the proof. Their father had kept everything in a filing cabinet for over 3 decades. Court filings. Canceled checks with Diane's signature on the back. Copies of letters that came back marked "returned to sender" in my mother's handwriting. My mother didn't just lie about who my father was. She erased him. She stole years from both of us. And she thought, because she'd gotten away with it for 34 years, that the secret was safe forever. What she didn't realize was that the truth had been waiting in a filing cabinet 2 states away, and her other daughter had the key. Tamara was the first person in my family to stand beside me. She'd always been on the outskirts herself. The family called her difficult. They called her too blunt. She was the black sheep, and she wore it like armor. She called me one night, her voice steady and certain. "I've watched them do this to you your whole life, Corinne. I just never had proof. Now you do." Tamara helped me organize everything. We laid it all out on my living room floor one Saturday afternoon. The printed text messages in chronological order. The voicemails transcribed and dated. The court documents Jolene had mailed me in a thick manila envelope. The financial records showing child support payments that Diane had cashed for years while telling me my father was dead. Then Tamara told me something that nearly broke me all over again. Years ago, before our grandmother passed, Tamara had overheard a conversation. Grandma had confronted Diane. She'd told her directly that keeping the truth from me was wrong. Diane had promised. She had looked her own dying mother in the eye and promised that she would tell me when I was older. She never did. Meanwhile, my family grew more arrogant. Mom started posting on Facebook passive-aggressive quotes about loyalty and children who break their mother's heart. Extended family liked every post. Heart emojis flooded the comments. My brothers posted a Thanksgiving photo captioned, "Real family sticks together." I wasn't in it. I was never meant to be. Ray told a relative at a cookout, loud enough for several people to hear. "She'll come crawling back. She always does. She's got no one without us." They were sure I was broken, isolated, defeated. But while they were celebrating their victory, I was sitting across the table from my biological father for the first time in my life. Dale was a quiet man, kind eyes, rough hands from years of carpentry work. When he saw my face, he cried. He didn't try to hide it. He just let the tears fall and said, "You look just like your grandmother. I never stopped thinking about you." I had the truth now. I had the evidence. I had Jolene and Dale and Tamara, and for the first time in my entire life, I had the courage. A big family reunion was coming up at Diane and Ray's house. I wasn't invited, but Tamara was. The reunion was on a Saturday in July. 50-plus relatives packed into Diane and Ray's backyard. Charcoal smoke drifted over picnic tables covered in checkered tablecloths. Kids ran through sprinklers. Someone had set up a portable projector and screen for a family photo slideshow. Mom floated through the crowd in a sundress, hugging everyone, playing the role of the wounded mother who lost a daughter to the internet. She was in her element. Midway through the afternoon, Tamara stood up near the projector and clinked a spoon against her glass. The chatter died down. She smiled and said, "Hey everyone, I have a short video message from someone who couldn't be here today. I thought we could all watch it together." People gathered around, paper plates in hand, expecting something lighthearted. A birthday message maybe. A funny memory. Tamara connected her phone. The screen flickered to life. My face appeared. The entire backyard went silent. I could picture it from where I sat in my apartment, watching the live feed Tamara had set up on her second phone. 50 faces staring at my image, and my mother's expression crumbling in real time. I spoke calmly. I'd rehearsed this for days, but in the moment, I didn't need the script. The truth was enough. "Hi everyone. I know I wasn't invited today, and I know you've all heard Mom's version of what happened. I think it's time you heard the truth." I played the voicemails first. Ray's voice filled the backyard through the speaker, the one where he called me a burden. Then my brother's voices, harsh and dismissive, telling me I ruined everything because I wanted medical information. I read the texts aloud. The disinvitation from the baby shower. The removal from the group chat. Then I held up the court documents so the camera could see them clearly. My father didn't die before I was born. His name is Dale, and he's alive. He tried to be in my life. He sent letters. He sent money. He even went to court to fight for custody of me. Mom hid all of it. I held up photocopies of the child support checks. Diane's signature on the back of every single one. Cashed for years. Money meant for me, taken by her while she told me my father was dead. I heard it through Tamara's phone. The murmuring, the gasps, the sound of my mother's chair scraping against the patio. Diane stood up, her face flushed red. "Turn that off. She's lying. She's making all of this up." Tamara didn't flinch. She stood right next to the projector and said, her voice clear and firm, "It's not made up, Aunt Diane. I've seen the originals." I continued from the screen. "Mom, I didn't do this to hurt you. I did this because you hurt me for 34 years. You stole my father. You stole my identity. And then when I tried to find the truth, you stole my family too. I'm done letting you control my story." The yard erupted in whispers. Diane's sisters stared at her with a horror I could feel even through a phone screen. One of my aunts, the oldest one, the one who remembered everything, said quietly but clearly enough for everyone to hear, "Diane, Mama told you to tell her. She made you promise." Diane's face collapsed. Ray lunged toward the speaker, trying to shut it off. My brothers sat frozen in their chairs, staring at the ground. My final words came out steady. "I'm not asking to come back. I'm just asking to be free. And now I am." The screen went dark. In the weeks that followed, the family didn't fracture because of me. It fractured because of the truth my mother had buried for over 3 decades. Several relatives reached out privately, apologetic, ashamed they hadn't asked for my side sooner. 2 of my aunts admitted they'd always suspected something was off. One of my brothers, Tyler, sent a short text. "I didn't know about any of that. I'm sorry." It wasn't much, but it was honest. And after everything, honesty meant more to me than any grand gesture ever could. Diane never apologized. She doubled down. She called me vindictive. She told anyone who would still listen that I manipulated everything. But her credibility was ash. Ray stopped answering calls from extended family altogether. I built a real relationship with Dale and Jolene. I spent my first Christmas with them in a small house in Indiana. It was quiet. It was warm. It was honest. Dale gave me a shoebox that night. Inside were every letter he'd ever written me. 30 years of birthdays and holidays and ordinary Tuesdays, all addressed to a daughter he was never allowed to reach. I read them all in one night. I didn't sleep. I didn't want to. Every letter was a piece of my life I'd been missing. I continue therapy. I don't seek revenge. I don't send angry messages. I simply live my truth. My mother was so afraid of one little DNA test because she knew the truth would set me free. And she was right. It did. I lost the family that controlled me. And I found the family that had been searching for me all along. If your family ever kept the truth from you, about who you are, where you come from, or who loved you, I want to hear about it. Your identity isn't theirs to control. Subscribe to this channel, because this is a community built on truth and courage. Drop your story in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Thank you for listening to my story. If it moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, your worth is not determined by the people who failed to see it. It's determined by what you do when you finally see it yourself.